See how the pocket and all the offensive linemen have rushed by, or all the defensive linemen have rushed by? That's what makes him in this situation be really good. I think it's Shedeur Sanders based on this film.
Chase Daniel just watched every single rep of Shedeur Sanders' training camp film, and he came away with one conclusion. It is not about the arm. It is not even about the completions. It is about something a lot of people never even talk about: pocket movement. Daniel says it is the single biggest jump Shedeur has made from year 1 to year 2. And after breaking down play after play against Cleveland's own defense, he is done sitting on the fence. He thinks Shedeur Sanders should be the Browns' starting quarterback in 2026. Here's why. Let's start with what Chase Daniel actually does for a living. He is not some random guy on Twitter throwing out hot takes. He played quarterback in the NFL for over a decade. He has been in these quarterback rooms. He knows what a coach is looking for when he watches a guy move around back there, because that is exactly what got him a roster spot year after year, even when he was not the guy taking every snap. So when Daniel sits down with this training camp tape and picks pocket movement as the headline, that is not a throwaway line. That is a former pro pointing at the one skill that separates a guy who survives in this league from a guy who gets exposed. And the tape backs it up immediately. Daniel walks through rep after rep where Cleveland's defense is sending pressure, where the protection breaks down, where a rookie or a guy still finding his footing would just eat the sack or panic and throw something up for grabs. Instead, Shedeur is stepping up, resetting his feet, and still going through his progression like nothing happened. Watch the play where the blitz comes off the edge. The offensive line gets beat. In year 1, that's a scramble drill or a sack. On this tape, Shedeur climbs the pocket, resets, and delivers a strike. Daniel keeps coming back to the same idea. Not a lot of wasted movement. His first step is up, then down, hands ready, eyes already scanning the field before the ball even reaches its landing spot. That sounds small until you remember what NFL defensive coordinators actually study on film. They are not just grading arm talent, they are grading whether a quarterback gives them anything to exploit when the play breaks down. A guy who bails out of a clean pocket the second he feels footsteps is a guy every coordinator in this league will hunt on Sundays. This is the part of the story that never makes the highlight reel because it does not show up as a touchdown pass on SportsCenter. Pocket movement is quiet. It's the difference between a 3rd and 7 that stays alive for 6 more seconds and a 3rd and 7 that ends in a sack and a stalled drive. And according to Chase Daniel, watching this exact training camp film against this exact Cleveland defense, that quiet skill has taken the biggest leap of anything Shedeur has improved since his rookie year.
So it's just a really good rep. It looks to me like they're bringing some type of pressure. Yep, so 17's blitz in, right? So you should have enough. 53, the offensive lineman is just all over the place. But I do like Shedeur. It's a little play fake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hitch, ball. And he's stepping up in the pocket. You see how the pocket and all the offensive linemen have rushed by, or all the defensive linemen have rushed by. That's what makes him in this situation be really good. I mean, the pocket movement has been great, but I think that's the biggest jump from year 1 to year 2 is the pocket movement. And then a lot of times like, hey, just put the ball right on.
Stop right there for a second, because that clip is not cherry-picked. That is Chase Daniel's own words in real time watching real training camp footage. Now, let's talk about the number that everybody keeps bringing up because it plays right into this pocket movement conversation. 0 interceptions. That is what Shedeur Sanders has thrown through this stretch of training camp, at least based on everything tracked so far. Meanwhile, Deshaun Watson, the guy currently holding the starting job, has thrown multiple picks in the same window. Daniel brings this up near the end of his breakdown, and he is careful about it. He is not saying training camp stats are the whole story. He even says some of it is what we have for stats, or made-up stats, whatever you want to call it, because ESPN and other outlets are the ones actually tracking it closely. But here is why it connects directly back to pocket movement. A quarterback who stays composed when the pocket collapses does not force bad throws. He does not panic and try to squeeze a ball into a window that is not there. He resets, he goes through his reads, and if nothing is open, he lives to throw another down.
That composure under pressure is exactly what keeps a turnover count at 0 through this stretch of camp. It is not luck. Daniel's breakdown shows the mechanism behind the stat. Look at the corner route sequence Daniel highlights. Shedeur takes his drop, 1, 2, 3, hitches up and delivers a ball that threads between the safety and the corner without ever forcing it into double coverage. That is not a hero ball throw. That is a quarterback taking what the defense gives him because his feet and his eyes are in sync. Daniel calls one of these throws a dime, not a hospital ball. His words, a dime. That phrase matters because a hospital ball is the kind of throw that gets a receiver hit and gets a pass picked off. A dime is placed exactly where only your own guy can catch it. So when you put the 0 interceptions next to the pocket movement praise, you start to see the full picture Chase Daniel is painting. This is not a guy getting lucky through camp. This is a quarterback who has cleaned up the part of his game that used to get him in trouble as a rookie, the composure under pressure, and it is showing up in the results. 10 interceptions as a rookie, 0 through this stretch of year 2. That is the kind of jump that gets a former NFL quarterback like Chase Daniel to stop hedging and start picking a side.
Organizations have different ways of doing stuff, but he's able to get in there and to really fit the scheme. See him move to his right to find it. Okay, they really don't have a man beater. They might not be able to check to it. This is just really good, solid quarterback play. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment. I'm super excited to hear what you have to say about this quarterback competition. I think it's Shedeur Sanders based on this film. Look, Deshaun Watson has thrown some interceptions. Shedeur has thrown 0, at least what we have for stats or made up stats, whatever it is, through training camp. ESPN Cleveland's doing a really good job of tracking it.
10 interceptions as a rookie, 0 right now, same player 1 year apart. That is the entire pocket movement story in 2 numbers. There's also the arm strength piece of this, and Chase Daniel spends a good chunk of the breakdown on it because it ties directly into why the pocket movement actually matters. It is one thing to step up in the pocket. It is another thing to still make the throw once you get there. Daniel points to the forward lean, the arm coming up and through, Shedeur throwing over defenders and over his own offensive line, and still driving the ball with zip. He specifically calls out a rep where Shedeur is low to the ground in his drop, which Daniel does not love, but even from that lower platform, he still generates enough power to drive the football to a receiver working the flat against the corner sitting in a cover 2 shell. That is not an easy throw to make from a compromised base. Daniel's exact words, "This is a dime." This is where Todd Monken's offense comes into the conversation, because Daniel is clear that the scheme fit is real. He says this system gives Shedeur pure progression reads, guys running deep crosses and dagger routes stacked behind each other, and Daniel straight up says this looks like what fit Shedeur's skill set back at Colorado. That matters because a quarterback with good pocket movement and a strong arm still needs a system that lets him use both. Daniel is watching Shedeur read a 2x2 formation, identify the coverage, and get through his progression fast enough to beat pressure before it ever forces him to bail the pocket in the first place. And notice what Daniel keeps circling back to on every single rep, the comfort level. He says it flat out. Shedeur has way more comfort at the line of scrimmage now, more command over motions and checks. That is not something you fake on tape. Coaches can see when a quarterback is playing fast because he trusts what he sees, versus a guy who is still processing in slow motion and hoping his athleticism bails him out. The pocket movement, the arm strength, the command at the line, none of that exists in a vacuum. Daniel is describing a quarterback whose entire operation has sped up and cleaned up at the same time, and that is exactly the kind of jump that gets a former NFL starter to stop calling it a competition and start calling it a decision.
Right, and he threw another corner route. It's a similar play, actually. So it's a tight end running a small dig route, and it's 80 running a deeper dig route. But here I want to watch Shedeur in the pocket because this is 11 on 11. They have the center, and what happens with Shedeur is that once you get the ball right here, eyes down the middle of the field. So you have to see the safeties. That's exactly what's happening. Are those the owners on the top deck too? That's pretty cool if it is. Just making sure everything's going right. And so when that happens, you see his plane set. The only thing I don't really like, see how low Shedeur is to the bottom of the area, and I don't really like the fact that he's so low. And when he's so low, you have to get a lot of extra oomph on the ball. You have to be able to drive the football to Wallace over that corner, who's a flat defender, between the safety of 28. You see these all defenders are like, oh, I mean, this is a dime, because you can't lead the receiver too far to the sideline, because you have to understand that corner, which is in cover 2, he's going to be dropping back. But I do like Shedeur right there. He's in a very good area. Just don't drop down so much.
Chase Daniel does not hand out that word lightly. When he calls a throw a dime twice in one breakdown, that is not filler commentary. That is a former NFL quarterback telling you exactly what he is seeing. So where does all of this leave the actual quarterback competition in Cleveland? Chase Daniel does not dance around it. He says it directly. He personally thinks the Browns should probably go with Shedeur Sanders as their starting quarterback to open the 2026 season, and he lays out the case in order. The pocket movement is the biggest year-over-year jump he sees on tape. The 0 interceptions back up the composure claim with actual results. The arm strength is clearly a level up from what showed up as a rookie, and the fit with Todd Monken's system, the same kind of progression-based passing game that Shedeur ran back at Colorado, means none of this is happening by accident. Daniel is also honest about what this is and is not. This is training camp film, no pads, no live tackling, and he says himself it is going to matter what happens in the actual games. He is not pretending this is a Super Bowl resume, but he is pointing out that Shedeur is putting his best foot forward every single rep, and that when you stack this pocket movement improvement next to Deshaun Watson working his way back from 2 Achilles tears, the picture gets a lot more interesting than a lot of people expected walking into this camp. A lot of people wrote Shedeur off after year 1. 10 interceptions, some rough film, plenty of doubters lining up to say he was not the answer. Chase Daniel is not one of those voices anymore. He watched the training camp tape closely enough to see the exact skill that most fans never notice, and he walked away convinced. Not because of one throw, not because of one highlight, because of a pattern across rep after rep where the pocket breaks down and Shedeur Sanders does not. That is the entire story here. Not hype, not a hot take pulled out of thin air. A former NFL starting quarterback breaking down real training camp film against Cleveland's own defense, landing on pocket movement as the thing that convinced him Shedeur Sanders is the guy.
Exactly what he does. And you can see here, and Shedeur has a top camera on him, and that camera is meant to see what Shedeur sees. So you can go in to training camp and with the coaches, look at where Shedeur's eyes are. Okay, so a couple things. We're going to break down the play, but we're also going to break down his drop and everything. He's got right foot up forward. There's a 2-by-2 formation. It looks like the Browns are in a cover 2 defense. So what you have here is, I think that's Boston on the outside running a circus route. So what a circus route is you push in 5 yards, up 10 to 12, and break it out depending the distance and coverage, 18 to 22 yards. And then you have a tight end running to the out route. Okay, they're sort of matching up right here where they want to go, and the back is a check down. So what Shedeur does, he's able to find Boston, I think that's Boston, on the sideline, number 12.
You watched the same clips Chase Daniel did. Tell me the pocket movement did not look different from what you remember out of year 1. Let's zoom out for a second, because this is bigger than one YouTube breakdown. Every training camp, analysts pick a narrative and run with it. Most of those narratives do not survive contact with the regular season, but what makes this one different is that Chase Daniel is not building his case on vibes. He is building it on the one skill NFL evaluators actually value the most when they project a young quarterback long-term, which is what happens when the play does not go as scripted. Anyone can look good in 7-on-7 when the pocket is clean and the routes are wide open. The real test is what a quarterback does the moment that pocket collapses, and according to Daniel, Shedeur Sanders has completely changed his answer to that question from year 1 to year 2. 0 interceptions through this stretch of camp, a noticeably stronger arm, a system in Todd Monken's offense that plays directly to his strengths, and now, according to a former NFL starting quarterback who has actually lived this exact evaluation from the inside, the single biggest jump of all, pocket movement. Put all 4 of those pieces together and you understand exactly why Chase Daniel stopped hedging on this quarterback competition and picked a side. So here is the real question heading into the rest of camp. Is this pocket movement jump enough to actually win Shedeur Sanders the starting job, or does Deshaun Watson's experience and that fully guaranteed contract keep him in the driver's seat no matter what the training camp tape shows? Chase Daniel has already made up his mind after watching this film closely. Have you? Drop a comment. Are you Team Shedeur after seeing this pocket movement breakdown, or are you still Team Watson going into the season? Smash like and subscribe.